My name is Chloe and I'm 44 years old. I'm about to share a pivotal, rather dramatic moment in my life and I'd like you to listen in. When I was 25, I met and married Ethan, a hardworking businessman, thanks to a mutual acquaintance. I'd always hoped to become a full-time homemaker after our marriage, but given the economic downturn, that plan didn't pan out. Instead, I continued to work at the salon where I'd been employed for a while, leveraging maternity and postpartum leaves to welcome and nurture our daughter, Isabella. Up until this point, we had an ordinary family life, like everyone else. In retrospect, as a first-time mom, there were days that felt exhausting. Yet, each day brought along a new joy. Isabella was so adorable and Ethan was incredibly sweet. Our family didn't experience the typical mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflicts. On the contrary, my in-laws showered Isabella with so much love and even helped us with her upbringing. So, I don't recall ever feeling overwhelmed. Surrounded by kind people, I thought we were living a calm and peaceful life. By the time Isabella turned 10, Ethan and I had become a pretty solid, well-settled couple. The lovey-dovey phase was fading, but that didn't worry me. Let's admit it. I saw it as natural evolution of our relationship, something every couple goes through. Ethan, ever the kind-hearted man, would pick me up from work whenever our schedules aligned. So, the thought of our love cooling off never crossed my mind. There was no room for anxiety, until one unexpected day. Ethan was off work, so I borrowed our car for a shopping run. As I slid into the driver's seat and adjusted the side mirror to suit my view, something glittery at my feet caught my attention. Picking it up, I realized it was a dangly earring. Obviously, designed for women. For the record, I don't wear earrings. I can't because I have allergies. Wait, if this isn't mine, whose is it? My mind was instantly flooded with question marks. And the most direct answer it could muster was infidelity. No. Cheaters don't get caught this easily, right? Still, I decided to confront Ethan nonchalantly, showing him the earring I'd found in the car. He looked startled for a moment. Then he quickly recovered, saying, oh yes! I gave one of my colleagues a ride the other day. It must be hers. What's the reaction now? But did he just almost say mine? No way, right? I was unsure whether to press further. I had a nagging feeling of unease, but part of me wanted to erase my unwelcome thoughts. Most importantly, Isabella was with us. I didn't want to risk a confrontation that could potentially confirm Ethan's infidelity and hurt our daughter. So, I chose to let it slide for the time being. A few days later, on a particularly stormy night, Ethan had to attend a business dinner. He called to let me know he probably wouldn't make it home. In this weather, are you sure you'll be okay? Don't catch a cold. I couldn't help but express my concern. Ethan is prone to catching colds, so I knew it must be an important event to drag him out on a night like this. Yeah, I'll be fine. Thanks. But just as he finished, a shrill, sweet voice echoed from the other end of the phone. Ethan, are you still on the phone? I couldn't help but ask again. Huh? No, I told you, I'm on a call. Ethan tries to justify himself while stopping me. What just happened there? You got called by your first name? Well, it's one of our clients. You know how bosses love to call you by your first name. You know what I mean? That sounds like an excuse to me. I do have a manager at another store who calls out to me, "Hey Chloe." I guess there are a good number of bosses who prefer to use first names, regardless of gender. But there's something off about the tone of his voice that makes me suspicious. I mutter, without realizing. Perhaps, scared of being questioned further, Ethan quickly hangs up the call. I'm off for an entertaining night with clients, gotta go. The last time, I found a piece of jewelry that wasn't mine. This time, the smell of infidelity seems to be getting stronger. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, but without any solid evidence, I don't truly feel like he's cheating on me. All I feel is a formless, nagging doubt growing within me. The next morning, Ethan returns home and starts talking about his difficult night, even though I didn't ask. But if you listen closely, he keeps repeating words like forceful, already settled, and wanted to go home early. The common theme seems to be that he didn't really want to go in the first place. That just makes it all the more suspicious. So, you're not cheating on me, right? Just kidding. I was about to follow up with a laugh and say, just kidding, of course you're not. But then I saw Ethan's face and fell silent. He was pale as a ghost. I'd never seen anyone turn that pale before. So that's what it looks like when someone turns blue, I thought to myself. No, of course not. There's no way I would ever do something like that. His words don't match the color of his face. While his expressions might be able to lie, his complexion doesn't. Now, he's a prime suspect. What an awful joke I've made. I screwed up. Trying to hide the tears welling up in my eyes, I turned my back on Ethan. Come on, go take a bath. It's your day off. You should take it easy. I left the room with my best attempt at a cheery voice. Then I cried alone. His bad lying made the whole thing seem unreal until now. I kept thinking, there's no concrete evidence anyway, but the suspicion is very real. There's still no evidence, nothing has really changed, but his reaction, there's no mistaking it. You don't even need intuition to see it. What am I supposed to do from here? Should I find evidence and file for divorce? What about our daughter, Isabella? Can I raise her alone? I still love Ethan after everything. I couldn't make up my mind, so I decided to think more about what I really want. And so, with no answer in sight, Isabella started her summer break. I thought it would be just like any other summer, but it wasn't. Ethan kept insisting on taking Isabella to his parents' house. He usually doesn't want to go because it's a hassle, and since it's just in the next town, we can go anytime. And during summer break, I'm usually busy with work. When we visit his parents, we usually stay for a few days. Even though they are close by, the time Isabella can spend with her grandparents is limited. But I can't take consecutive days off during this period. Does he know that and still ask anyway? As I ponder it, I remembered that this summer was different from all the rest. Right, Ethan is having an affair. Could he possibly be using the trip home as an excuse to do something? If I'm lucky, could I obtain evidence of his affair? With these thoughts in mind, and feeling that I couldn't decide my course of action without proof, I allowed Isabella and Ethan to make the trip home together. The day they left, Ethan, grinning more than usual, said, "We're off," as he drove Isabella to his parents' house. That's suspicious. He usually seems so much more bothered. But with no idea of what might actually happen, and the distance to his parents' house being a significant obstacle, obtaining evidence wasn't going to be easy. After sending them off, I rummaged around the house but found nothing. I knew it wouldn't be that simple. As I was exchanging voice messages with Isabella via the GPS, I was about to give up on finding any proof. The next day, after searching all night for evidence and not finding any, I went to work with a tired face from the lack of sleep. Everyone was worried about me, but I brushed them off with a laugh, saying, "The heat kept me awake." As I exchanged messages with Isabella during my work breaks, I was expecting another fruitless day. But then I noticed something odd. Although Isabella was supposed to be at her in-laws, the GPS was acting strangely. It was moving. Sure, she might go somewhere, but the GPS showed Isabella heading towards a street lined with pubs. I had a bad feeling about this. In a rush, I told my manager, "I'm not feeling well," and decided to leave work early. While I was doing that, the GPS stopped at a shop in the city. The name of the shop was Amore Club, Love and Me. This is a romantic hotel. Isabella brought the GPS to a hotel? What? I was confused. What if she was involved in some kind of trouble? Isabella hadn't responded to the messages I had sent her yet, so in a panic, I called Ethan's parents' house. "Hello, I'm sorry for the sudden call. Is Isabella there?" I didn't know if Ethan's mother, father, or even Ethan himself had answered the phone. "Chloe? Isabella just left with my son to go play. What's the matter? You sound so panicked." The person on the other end was Ethan's father. Hearing that Ethan and Isabella had left together, I felt a wave of relief. I'm glad she's safe. But as soon as the relief washed over me, a question popped up in my mind. Why is Ethan at a hotel with Isabella? Could this be the evidence I've been looking for? Just as I was thinking this, I got a reply from Isabella on the GPS. I told Ethan's father, "Can I call you back later?" and abruptly ended the call. Then I quickly responded to Isabella. "What are you doing now?" "I'm waiting in the car for Dad." I checked the GPS location again in case I was mistaken. It's still the hotel. No matter how many times I look, it's the hotel. Did he just abandon Isabella in the parking lot of the hotel? I felt myself losing control. More than having definite proof of the affair, the fact that he brought Isabella to such a place was unbearable. Ethan's father had said that Ethan took Isabella out saying he was going to have some fun. So he was using Isabella as a cover-up. I can't believe how foolish he's been. This definitely calls for, no, needs a consequence. I messaged Isabella. "Mommy is coming to join you there." Then I called my father-in-law back and told him everything. He adores Isabella and was furious. Just hearing Ethan seems to be at the hotel with Isabella, he blurted out, "What on earth is he doing?" Thinking about her father and his mistress at a hotel. If Isabella understood what that meant, she'd definitely be upset. Before Isabella realized anything, my in-laws and I decided to remove her from the situation. Luckily, the hotel was near a station, so I hopped on the train while my in-laws drove there. As we entered the hotel's parking lot, sure enough, our car was parked. Isabella, who knew we were coming, was innocently waving from inside the car. I quickly unlocked the car with my spare key and hugged Isabella. "I'm sorry for leaving you alone here." "But I'm not alone. Daddy's just late." Isabella pouted. Promising a fun day out and then making her wait in the parking lot wasn't right. It was awful. Mommy will make sure he pays for it. I didn't say it out loud, but I promised Isabella. For now, I convinced Isabella to go home with my in-laws. I wanted to get her away from there as soon as possible, so the teamwork with my in-laws was appreciated. Then I climbed into the driver's seat of Ethan's car and waited. Of course, just waiting wasn't fun at all. I figured they were in the middle of it, so I called Ethan on purpose to disturb them. "Hello, is that you?" I intentionally used a laid-back tone to gauge Ethan's situation. "Hey, I'm driving right now. Don't call me out of the blue. Call me later." "Oh, your car's right here? What exactly are you driving, I wonder?" I couldn't help but chuckle. "Oh, okay, gotcha. Your parents will be there to pick her up soon. Just letting you know." What? Of course, it was a lie. Because my in-laws had just left. Knowing he was having fun in the hotel room made me so mad. I thought this was the best way to wrap it up quickly. I hung up, and not long after, Ethan rushed out to the parking lot, with a woman trailing behind him, her hair all messed up. They seemed to be in a bit of squabble. Well, that makes sense. He probably intended to be in the room for at least 3 hours. My call likely forced him to interrupt his rendezvous, and he had to rush out of the room. Or rather, he absolutely had to. As Ethan approached the car, his shirt buttons were haphazardly fastened. Was he planning to meet my in-laws looking like that? Isabella would surely be surprised. The woman seemed furious, and I started to think that this might be the end of their affair. Moreover, I could be imagining it. But the woman looked a bit like me from the past. Well, interesting choice for an affair, a woman of a similar type. The whole situation was starting to amuse me, so I waited in the car, grinning as I met Ethan's eyes. When Ethan noticed me, he was taken aback for a moment. Then, his mouth began to open and close like a goldfish out of water. "I'm here to pick you up, dear," I called, swinging the car door open with a smile. Ethan stared at me in surprise, raising his hand as if on autopilot. I had to chuckle. It was just like a dog sitting or drooling at the sight of a treat. Pavlov's dog, classic conditioned response. The woman next to him turned from furious red to terrified pale and scurried off. Poor thing, left all alone, I thought. Why, huh? What? Wait! Ethan stammered, pointing at me and repeating his surprise. I didn't respond, simply returning his shock with a smile. He remained frozen even when I started the car. No objections then. "Well, you can walk home then, I'm going ahead," I declared and drove off. A guy who abandons Isabella in the parking lot deserves the same. Serves you right. Think about what you've done. I saw Ethan chasing the car in the rearview mirror, but I didn't slow down. His lover seemed to have left already, leaving no one to rescue him. Now, I guess I'll just wait for you back at home. Driving back to my in-laws, the whole situation seemed amusing. My mother-in-law was playing with Isabella when I arrived. My father-in-law looked positively livid, veins popping on his forehead. This place is hell, I thought as Ethan finally trudged home. It had taken him 5 hours to walk back from the hotel, a distance that should have taken about 2. He must have really dreaded coming back. I'm home," Ethan mumbled as he timidly stepped inside. My father-in-law shot him at a fierce glare. "Who the hell are you? You don't have permission to enter. Get out!" Wait! Dad, please!" Before Ethan could finish his plea, my father-in-law yanked his arm so hard I thought his shoulder might dislocate and throw him. I felt grateful for my father-in-law in that moment. Ethan always said that his father was scary when angry, so I knew this would have a greater impact than on my own anger. "Hand over the car keys." Ethan, completely bewildered, handed over the keys. My father-in-law began his interrogation. "Where were you today, leaving Isabella behind? I'm asking you, where were you?" At a hotel." He couldn't even stand up. "I know that already. With whom were you? Don't tell me you were alone. Speak up. If you lie, I'll leave you out there all night." My father-in-law is not one to make empty threats. He took the keys so Ethan couldn't escape in the car. Sweat began to pour from Ethan. Thought it wasn't particularly hot. Cold sweat, I suppose. She's a temp at the office," Ethan mumbled, then fell silent. "Speak up. If I have to keep asking you, I'll throw you out. Terrified, I thought, but I was smiling behind my father-in-law. In a whimpering voice, Ethan started to confess. He said he found the temp cute and just wanted to chat a little. But she was much more receptive than he expected, and before he knew it, they were involved. Flattered by the attention of a younger woman, he got carried away and lost control of the situation. Ethan spilled his guts, every last detail. I have to admit, I was somewhat pleased when he said, I found the temp attractive. Probably because she reminded me of myself. I felt like it was a roundabout compliment. But that doesn't mean I'm about to forgive him. I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. I understand. Call her now. Tell her it's over. With his back against the wall, Ethan did as he was told and dialed her number. Hey, it's me. I'm sorry about, the lunch. The moment the call connected, Ethan stuttered, unsure of how to start the conversation. But then a voice roared through the phone. I've had enough of you. And there was a beep beep of disconnection. She just broke up with me. I thought to myself, you didn't break up with her, she dumped you. Poor Ethan. You didn't initiate the breakup, it was because you lacked sincerity. You are truly indecisive. My father-in-law scolded Ethan, making him shrink even more. Do you realize how bad you've been to Chloe and Isabella? When he yelled this, Ethan finally responded loudly. Of course I do. I want to strip this guy naked and throw him out, but what does Chloe want? Caught off guard by the question, I took a moment to think. Honestly, I didn't want to break up. I believe I can live happily with just Isabella and me, but I do love Ethan. The only other thing that came to mind was that I never want him to cheat again. Divorce. The moment I muttered the word, Ethan jolted, his shoulders shaking. Please, anything but divorce. I was wrong. I betrayed you and Isabella. I was the worst. Well, he's not wrong there. He's just stating the obvious. Thought it did amuse me slightly. He repeated, I'm so sorry, again and again, offering a deep apology. His face was hidden as he bowed low to the floor, but I could tell from his voice he was sobbing. I'll never cheat again, he pleaded, to which I finally replied. Sign the divorce papers. I'll keep them. Depending on your behavior, I can file them at any moment. At my words, Ethan lifted his head, perhaps thinking he had dodged a bullet. And you are on an allowance from now on, only enough for lunch, and you'll do the housework. Ethan's face, which had momentarily brightened, dimmed slightly. Also, we are putting GPS on your phone, and you're not allowed to go out alone with Isabella. Either I or your father will accompany you. I continued laying out the terms. Go immediately when I ask you to shop. Fulfill all my requests. Oh yes, when I say housework, I mean everything from taking out the trash in the morning, shopping, cleaning, preparing dinner, to doing the laundry for the next morning. It's an all-day task. In other words, he'd have to become our own personal errand boy. There's no dignity as a husband or a father in that. If that's okay with you, then I won't divorce you. But remember, this isn't valid if I'm upset. I can't believe the audacity of what I'm saying. I'm basically telling him to keep me pleased all the time. But in the end, he's the one at fault. This much should be permissible. If he's busy, he won't have the time or the mind to cheat, right? Ethan, with a tearful expression, agreed, saying, I'm fine with that. Immediately, my father-in-law interjected. Not I'm fine with that, but Thank you for going that far for me, right? As advised, Ethan corrected himself. It seemed like I had completely exploited his weakness and didn't allow him any say. 6 years have passed since then. I still keep the divorce papers locked in a drawer, out of Ethan's reach. Ethan doesn't seem to be showing any signs of cheating either. Rather than trying to keep me happy, it seems to have become a natural part of him. No wonder our teenager daughter, Isabella, still mocks him, saying, "Your actions back then were just unthinkable." Ethan seemed to find being disliked by Isabella several times more painful than being scolded by my father-in-law or me. As Isabella grew, his determination to be a better husband became more and more apparent. Thanks to that, I am happy. Don't misunderstand. It's not that I have forgiven Ethan for his one-time mistake. The agreement I made with Ethan at that time, to not divorce him, was to protect my own happiness. My ultimate goal was for the three of us in this family to live harmoniously. Even if Ethan had wanted to break up, the conclusion would have been the same. I had no intention to divorce, even if it meant binding a resistant Ethan. However, as long as he fears being served divorce papers, I suppose it's okay to think that we're in love. Now, Ethan cherishes our family, not because he's bound to me, but of his own accord. That's why this story is about the most challenging time in my life. Looking at my family now, I can confidently say that such a thing will never happen again. As evidence, I'm very happy now. I want everyone listening to this to know. Don't think you can easily destroy the family I've built. Even if the world turns upside down, I won't let go of Ethan, just so you know.